Sorry, I'd like to call back to order the regular meeting of the Lake Forest Community High School Board of Education meeting for June 12th, 2017. May I have a roll call, please?
Dr. Elliott?
Here.
Mr. Lane?
Here.
Mr. Mormon?
Here.
Mrs. Skryling?
Here.
Mr. Markison?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Dr. Nemekis?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm going to dispense with my president's report. We have a lot to cover tonight. The one thing I want to encourage the board to do is treat this like a regular meeting. I realize by watching way too much Senate stuff, this feels more like a Senate hearing than a board meeting. We should be looking at each other, and we're going to talk about rearranging the format if Comcast could still film us, but please talk as if nobody's watching. Isn't that dance as if no one's watching? Do that. Please, I'd like to encourage discussion, especially over some of the topics that we have. There's 12 people watching at home, but I think all of us can benefit from the discussion. So, Mike, Superintendent's report.
I would like to hand off to Dr. Holland to begin.
And I'm going to pass it to Andrew and Lauren, who are joining us again. They've graduated.
Hi, long time no see. So for starters, prom went really well. We missed last month, so we'll talk about that. And there was a lot of positive reception over the new location. It was a new hotel this year. The decorations were wonderful, as I'm sure Tricia could tell you about at some point. And the transportation was a lot better getting on and off the buses, so that was fantastic. And the dance was a great treat at the end of the stressful AP testing. And the next big event that we had for the whole school, the annual Enjoy the Journey Walk, went really well, and we had a beautiful day, luckily. We increased the number of food trucks from last year, so more kids could get more food. That was feedback we got. There were really long lines. So there were also more choices of food. So there was a Latin American fusion food truck, which I thought was pretty good. I tried that one. There was Cheesies, which is always a big hit, mac and cheese, grilled cheese with mac and cheese on it, all that stuff. And Left Bank, in addition to a couple others. And we also collected sports equipment for the annual toy/frisbee basketball, that kind of thing, drive for the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, so seniors finished our last day on May 23rd. But after we were out, we heard finals were a success. Student Council in Croya provided supplies. Croya brought in donuts and puppies in the Commons, which was a big hit. And now it's official. Our senior class gift will be implemented next year for the first home football game, bringing the band and student sections together with banners at the top of the bleachers. That's a class of 2017. Which is nice. And yeah, in the corner. So the student section's moving away from the concession stands. So, yeah.
And this year's, or the next school year's, elected overall president and vice president are Tricia Bagat, who's here with us tonight, and Drew Arnson couldn't make it, but he'll be the vice president for overall. And lastly, we wanted to thank all of you for the great experience we've had this whole year. It was a real pleasure and a wonderful learning experience. So, Andrew, you're going to say.
I just want to say thank you. All of you guys spend your time working for the betterment of our education. I think Lauren and I can speak on behalf of the senior class that we feel more prepared than anyone out there for whatever we choose to do next. I feel so fortunate that I was able to grow in such a community that is such a supportive atmosphere we have at Lake Forest.
I do agree with Andrew, and I also thought, especially this experience coming to the board meetings, it was really cool to be a part of a real-world bureaucracy and see how that works. This is true. Like, this is one. And while I know we're looking forward to college and our college lives wherever we go, well, Andrew's DePaul and I'm going to USC. We will always be scouts, and we're really proud to be from Lake Forest High School. So thank you all for making that experience so great.
So I have a small token of appreciation. This is from all of us, just to say thank you for, there's a little something in here. Thank you for everything. Both of you have done a phenomenal job representing your peers. And good, bad, and different, you kept it real when you came here. And we appreciate that because your voice is what matters to all of us the most. So thank you for everything. My comments are brief since they talked about everything. But I just want to publicly say thank you to everyone who made graduation a beautiful day. The clouds opened up, the sun came out, and there were a lot of smiles on everyone's faces. And so I know that our B&G staff, security, admin, faculty, like everyone contributes to that day. And I just want to say thank you because we had 2 setups just in case. And it takes a lot of manpower and time and energy to be thoughtful in terms of every aspect of the day. So I just want to say thank you to the entire school community for a beautiful day.
And it was an incredible day. The best comparison I can make for people is that imagine putting on an outdoor wedding for 4,500 people. And most people have been to a wedding, and some of them have been to outdoor weddings, and there is really a lot involved. So it was really terrific. And one person that I wish I would have made sure to point out and did not at graduation was Mrs. Van Skyack, and what a great job she did reading off 436 names, I think it was, in rapid fashion, too. That was a record-breaking graduation ceremony as well. I'm headed off to the Rotary with Mr. Markson tomorrow morning. They're going to speak about Wednesday. Thank you. Tomorrow morning is the chamber. Sorry, I'm on the chamber board. So Wednesday, Mr. Markson and I will be at Rotary, and are going to present on both District 67 and on 115. I've been keeping a careful eye on the state budget, whether there will be a state budget at this point. I am pessimistic that there will be a state budget this year, next year, or the following year. I think we're going to continue to limp along in the same way that we have, so see no hint of movement there. There was a ray of hope that came out of the House this past week. The State House on the new school funding bill that passed by a very narrow majority, and its fate in the Senate is unclear. It's also not clear whether the governor will sign it, and then ultimately whether they'll have the votes to override it. But this is a funding bill for schools that would change the school funding formula, and there would not be the Robin Hood approach. So districts like Lake Forest would not go down in order that others would go up. We would essentially be remain at a level that we currently are going forward, which would harm us a lot less than other proposals that had come out. So this is a bill that was pushed forward by the III group, the Illinois Association of School Administrators, School Board Officials, which is Ms. Hermes's group, and also the School Board Association. So all 3 groups exerted a lot of influence, and I think there are many other folks that weighed in on that, but this is a big win because this is Illinois has the least equitable funding system in the nation by quite a margin. So passage of that bill is both a win for the organizations, but also I think for school kids, and so now they have to find funding to make that happen. And on a much more exciting note, I wanted to introduce Mr. Douglas and then Bailey. Bailey, what is your last name again? Lawrence. Bailey Lawrence. And they have a video to show us, and then also time for some Q&A. So with that, Mr. Douglas, take it away.
Yeah, so great to be here. Come on up, Bailey. So I talked to Mr. Simic just recently about just kind of sharing the stories of what we get to do in the classroom, and Bailey is kind enough to join us. She has a tremendous story, and she is just graduating this year and on her way to USC, which is her top film choice, and so you can ask her a couple questions about that as well. We also had a really, really exciting kind of weekend. Some of you guys might have heard Vince Vaughn from class of 1988 came back for our 50 years celebration of telecom, which was a great event. Over 300 people came to Gorton Theater. It was sold out. We live streamed it, and it was an incredible opportunity to be able to celebrate the program, celebrate Dave Miller and all the other different teachers that kind of came through over the last 50 years to create what is now the program. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a highlight from that and kind of give you some details around that, and then we'll answer any questions you might have. So the first bit, I'm just going to kind of narrate. We had all of our TAs there, which was amazing. So lots of different students who came, and they were able to introduce themselves, and then alums. So over 100 alums were actually part of the crowd, where our students could hear and interact with them all the way back. These guys were from the 90s, and it was a really incredible opportunity to be able to tell our story. And then I had the opportunity to interview Vince, and his insight was really thoughtful and really well delivered. And let me just see if I can grab. Sorry, I thought the audio was already connected here. Okay, I don't see the record. Let's see if we can hear it out.
Again, I think they really set up a format where we got the right amount of technical education and then truly the freedom to kind of be ourselves, to play with it. There was nothing legal about it. We were allowed to kind of work on ideas, and I quite enjoyed
Yeah, good idea.
I like watching other students' projects. It was kind of fun that everyone would go off. You wouldn't always know what they were up to. And there was really something collaborative in getting to watch whatever they brought back to the table. So there was a real connection, I think, in that process. And I've got to see some of the things that you guys have been doing. I think they're terrific. And is Bailey here? Lawrence is here.
Bailey, raise your hand, Bailey.
I love that TED Talk you did about education. I thought that was beautiful. She really did this TED Talk, if you haven't seen it, I'd recommend it, about project-based learning. And I really learned in that environment because telecom was a good, some listening, but then it was a lot of copying and doing on your own. And I really agree with you that that's a great way to learn. It helped me a lot where telecom was concerned. And you know, on top of acting, I produce currently a few TV shows that are on the air, and I was so far advanced. I mean, later on in life, on feature films that I did, major studio productions, I cut some of those movies entirely myself. And I would go in the editing room, and I really knew how to do it. And it really started with the basic lesson of if someone walks around this side of the corner, make sure that you pick them up on the other side, the continuity, I swear. I never went to college after this, I never went to film school, but I was far, far advanced in sort of understanding the editing room and cutting. So again, Dave, I appreciate the opportunity that you gave to me, and congratulations on 50 years as well.
Could give yourself one piece of advice when you were graduating high school?
And the ability you give yourself to think for yourself. So I was inspired truly by what you said.
I think it is, even though being small and going to a really large production.
I mean, in the work I do today, the process is the same, exactly the same. You have to come up with a concept, you have to pitch the concept, present it, then you plan your shots, then you plan your day, you plan your shooting.
It's really hard to keep up self-confidence in your work and all that. And so I was just wondering what your advice was as like fighting through and getting to the point that you want to, you know, in life.
Are you an actress as well? You were on the wall. You were beautiful in that.
Thank you.
Really truthful.
Thank you.
You should have a great self-confidence. No, I mean that. You were just tremendous. Really moved me. I really mean that. And I guess that just comes from getting conviction in what you like.
Like your experience?
Well, for me, I think I just sort of became friends with people who like similar things. You know, there was a movie theater in Los Angeles that kind of played old movies, so I'd go there, and I made friends with people that went there. Took improv classes here, so I became friends with people that did that. And I started working as an actor, and those became my friends. Dave has a special place in all of our hearts, and I know that Steve does for you. And as you get older, you appreciate the teachers that were kind and gave you an opportunity, because there's not as many as you would want, but obviously you're one of them. Dave was, and it's a real extension of it by getting to see all the stuff that you guys are doing. So honestly, I really am inspired by watching you guys and what you're doing. And you're further along and know what you need to do more than any of us can tell you. So thank you to you guys as well.
That's awesome.
So it was as you can tell, quite an evening. And Vince was more than kind to spend the time with the students afterwards, talking, and I'd love to hear what you guys were talking about. And also just his wisdom for the actual program. Very specific in kind of screenwriting and really encouraging to be able to kind of take that next level. So an incredible event, way beyond my and Dave's wildest dreams. And he is fully committed, wants to see and still connect with our current students, as well as all the other alums. I got all kinds of different kind of reach outs from alums, and they want to mentor, they want to kind of take the next steps with our students, which is really encouraging. So want to kind of transition into Bailey's work. This is just a compilation of some work that maybe you guys have seen. The first one is actually been shared over 110 times in our community, been seen by 18,000 people on Facebook. It is it's called The Wall. Bailey was the kind of lead producer of it, and Kathy O'Hara was in it. We won the 7-day challenge from the Midwest Media Educators Association, so we were given 7 days, a prop and a line of dialogue to be able to produce this. And then the second half of the compilation you'll see was Bailey's Senior Digital Short, which is a whole senior year-long process where she goes through the writing process, went through how many drafts? A lot, 15 to 20 drafts, and then also finish this up for Friday night for our Best of New Media. So just a little bit of an idea of the work.
So your brother has a hockey game in Detroit this weekend, and we're going to drive up there on Friday. You can either come with us, or you can stay with Grandma.
I'll definitely stay at Grandma's house.
Hey, look what just came in the mail.
What's that? Is that from Massachusetts?
Yes, it is. Oh my God, it's a big envelope. That's a good sign.
That's a good sign, you're right. I got it.
Let me see that.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you're gonna have an amazing time.
I can't believe I'm going
New people, new
all the way to
roommates. Think of
Massachusetts.
all
Oh my
the
gosh.
experiences she's
I
gonna
know.
have. It's
I know.
amazing.
That's incredible.
Oh my God, honey, we're so proud
We're
of you.
so proud of you.
That is fantastic.
Do you know where Mom is?
I think she's at the store.
What's wrong?
Nothing much. I'm just scared of leaving you guys for Massachusetts.
But we aren't going anywhere. We'll still be here when you come back.
Yeah, I know you will. It's hard leaving everything you know. But you won't have to deal with that for a while.
Yeah, not until I go to middle school.
Yeah, not until then. Grandma, did you do all this?
Oh, this is so beautiful.
What are all these letters?
Letters? Oh, dear Dwight D. Eisenhower, thank you for your service. Oh, I wrote that. I remember writing these letters. I wrote to my brother and the generals during World War II. They gave so much. They were great men who left great legacies. Can you imagine having a legacy left like that?
Just like me, my grandma was afraid of forgetting her past. But through her wall, she was able to pass on a legacy. And one day, I'll be able to make my own.
Kiss today goodbye. The sweetness and the sorrow. Wish me luck the same to you. But I won't regret what I did for love, what I did for love. What I did for love. Love is never gone as we travel on. Lost what we'll remember. Kiss today goodbye. And point me toward tomorrow. Point me toward tomorrow. We did what we had to do. Won't forget, can't regret what I did.
I thought you'd be waiting upstairs.
Congratulations, honey, you were amazing. I'm sorry, I wish there were more people in the audience.
That's okay. You know that's not why we do it.
What I did for
We'll make sure to send you guys the full version of both those videos so you can take a look at it. So, yeah.
So Bailey, you've had really an incredible run at the high school, and what many people may or may not know is the breadth of your involvement. You've been in all sorts of various productions, and I was pleased and thrilled to hear that you're headed off to USC. And talk a little bit about why USC and how your experiences here led you to that point. So it wasn't just telecom. You've done a lot of different things in the arts and theater and whatnot.
Yeah, so I think for a while, I think I was really debating which schools I really wanted to go to, whether it was DePaul or Chapman or USC. And I really liked how small Chapman was, because that was so much like the New Media class and being in such a community-based environment, and it was so small, and it was exactly the type of environment that I really excel in. But then it was when I actually toured USC a couple months ago, before the big May 1st deadline, that I had actually met with the person who was in charge of my major. And Mr. Douglas helped me through the whole entire college process so much. And we sort of decided to take a different route with USC, since it has always been sort of my top school and it being like the top film school. And I went there last summer and did their 6-week college credit film program. So I had already experienced the whole entire school and stayed in the dorm, so I already sort of knew a feel for what the school was like. But when I actually went there a couple months ago and I actually met with the lady who was in charge of my major, which is Media Arts and Practice, we spent like 2 hours just completely diving into my major. And Media Arts and Practice is this brand new major that they just started at USC about in like 2013. And it is completely centered around the new emerging technologies in the industry. And so that's virtual reality and more immersive technologies. And so I learned about web design, and I learned about film, and I learned about VR, and I learned about all these new different kinds of things. And I'd also like learn coding, and I'd learn all these new things that I had never experienced before. Like I never had access to that at this school, but I can learn new stuff like that. But then it also allowed me to really build upon the things that I have already been taught here and what I've already learned in the new media program. And their whole entire process and goal with the major is all about story. And it's all about working together in this community, in this environment. And so it was exactly what the class was already like. Like, as I heard her talking, I was like, oh my God, it's exactly like the class I'm already in at Lake Forest High School, this incredible, like, amazing class. And I am able to sort of build upon what I already learned, but also I'm able to learn brand new things that I've never, learned about before. And so that's really what drew me to USC, and just the other experiences too. When I was on campus last summer is what really made my decision.
I'll brag one more quick thing about Bailey. She won the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, the Emmy folks, their top scholarship this year, as well as the Midwest Media Educators Association. So the first person ever to win both those top scholarships, which was amazing for her, telling her story and to be able to kind of show not only her story, what she's done, but also her vision for collaborating with women and story and developing that, as she said, in VR and things that haven't even been developed yet, which is pretty exciting. So really cool. So.
Well, Bailey, I think that that story and you're going to USC is great. Your art is phenomenal. It's moving. That to me always is the key telltale sign of great art, is it moves you. I really appreciate you coming here tonight and sharing it, because I was happy to hear Mike and Reese talking about wanting to start recognizing excellence and people who really are committed to going out there and being the best them they can be. And I think that starting out with you and this new look at doing it's awesome. So thank you for coming in and sharing this with us.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's it. That's the capstone.
Board? There be none. Okay. We're going to move on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Education? Lise?
We have not met. We do have our schedule posted for next year, and we'll be having 5 meetings instead of 4 next year.
Anything on finance and ops?
No meeting to report. Yeah, I think June 29th.
Okay.
Or the 28th.
June something.
June 28th.
Ted, was there a policy committee meeting?
No, well, we had one, but it was pretty straightforward.
Pretty benign.
We're kind of happy with that. But let me run in and jump in on NSSCD real quick, as long as I get my finger on the button. NSSCD, the next meeting is Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, and it's the budget meeting. And we do have a couple of issues that we're trying to work through, mainly dealing with, there's extra cash in the bank, so to speak, and there's questions about how to spend it or give it back to the taxpayers, and so it's got a lot going on, and I'm on the side of give it back to the taxpayers if we don't need it. Also, Sunday, May 21st, we had our second annual 5K walk for the foundation. That went real well. It's and we'll do it again next year. And Dr. Nemekis has said that, see, I'm putting him on the spot right now, that they're going to be the platinum sponsor. And it's also good if anybody breaks their leg in the 5K, but no, it's like I said, our next meeting is next Wednesday.
Anything to report, Ed-Red?
No, Mr. Simic pretty much
Summed it up?
covered it. Yeah, I got nothing left.
All I got to do is find the money, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just am going to hold the button down, as Ted said, to say thank you so much to all the students. I have cried so far from every presentation that has been made this evening, so I'm glad we're moving into the financial parts, because I don't know how much more I can do.
No, all is good. We're
All
moving
good.
along,
Summer.
gearing up for next year.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to the action items section of the agenda. First up is the approval of the Assistant Director of Education Services to a one-year contract. I'm going to call for a motion and a second, and then I'd like someone from the staff to talk to this item, and we'll entertain any questions. So may I have a motion to approve the Assistant Director of Education Services one-year contract?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the Assistant Director of Educational Services one-year contract.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Somebody want to talk about what this is? Or?
Sure. Through our conversations of our grand plan and just thinking about alignment organizationally, similar to special ed where we have a director of special education and an assistant director, we are aligning our organization in a similar manner with a director of ed services and an assistant director. Currently, we have department chair of student services. We are retitling, providing a different name for this, as well as expanding responsibilities for this position. Right now, the department chair is John Maher. He's also a dean. He's also has been a part of safety and security. He wears multiple hats right now. And so just thinking about capacity as well as the extent of the work that is a part of our vision as a school, he will step into the assistant director of ed services position fully. No.
The assistant director is a one-year contract, whereas later on we're going to approve, or most likely approve, the director getting a 3-year contract. Is there a reason for the difference?
Someone else can probably chime in, but similar to building level administrators, oftentimes in a one school district, building level administrators like instructional directors, deans, and assistant directors, very similar to that, have 1-year contracts. It really just depends on what a district prefers. Higher level administrators typically have multi-year contracts. So in terms of, it can go either way. But I do think it's important, especially when a position like this has been reframed, revised, and there's a specific job description connected, it's always important to be able to assess and monitor and evaluate the position appropriately.
And one of the key differences between a 1-year and a 3-year is whether or not the employee winds up accruing years towards tenure. And each district makes a different determination whether they want their senior administrators to gain tenure or not. Generally speaking, building level administrators tend to have 1-year contracts. The board's obligation isn't any different to the employee whether they have a specific contract. It provides a level of clarity. So they're employed for the year, even without that formal contract, but it provides a level of clarity that is both beneficial to the board and to the employee. But the multi-year, the primary difference there, frequently people come from a different district, and then there is not an organizational interest in having them gain tenure, because once they gain tenure, they wind up potentially replacing somebody in a classroom if their fortunes change for whatever reason. And so that's one of the differences between with this 1-year assistant director and the director of educational services is where they came from also, whether are they in the district or outside the district. Generally speaking, people that have tenure will be very reluctant to accept a job where they don't have tenure associated with that.
I had one question. In this contract description on page 8, it says this is an 11-month administrator position, but the contract runs from July 1 to June 30th. It's 12 months, is that correct?
It should be a 12-month position.
I mean, it was in the appendix, the job description that said 11-month administrator position. And amend that then. Page 8 of this contract document, yeah. Exhibit 2. Yeah.
As suggested, amended, okay? Someone will fix it? Brittany Ellison, okay. Okay, any other questions? I hate to keep asking that, but I just want to make sure before we call for a vote. Okay. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mrs. Kreiling?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is approval of the Chief Technology Officer Enabling Agreement. This was something we approved last meeting, our new Chief Technology Officer. I'm assuming this is just to enable the shared services piece between 67 and 115. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the Chief Technology Officer Enabling Agreement?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the Chief Technology Officer Enabling Agreement.
Second?
Second.
Good job. Any questions, comments? Okay, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Mrs. Kreiling?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the Director of Education Services multi-year, 3-year contract. So I'll call for a motion in a second, and then we'll have somebody discuss it, and we'll be able to ask our questions. May I have a motion to approve the Director of Education Services multi-year contract?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the Director of Educational Services multi-year contract.
Second?
Second.
Shayla, you want to talk about this one? Mike, any of you?
Is there any, I'm just wondering, is there anything specific? Do you want me to talk about the candidate? Yes. Okay. So similar to what I just mentioned in terms of the Assistant Director of Ed Services, the Director of Ed Services oversees all of student services. Because we're one school district, there's an overlap between district, naturally an overlap between district and building level responsibilities, registration, placement, a lot of things that in districts where there's multiple buildings, you see sort of like a shared service type of position. Our Director of Ed Services also has those responsibilities. Staffing, working with me around sectioning, creating the master schedule. And as we all know, Student Services is a huge department, and that includes our counselors, social workers, school psychs, our SAP coordinator, and other related service staff. Student assistance program, yes. So Deborah Ann Reimer, who works around substance abuse. And so the person we're recommending for hire, I'm recommending for hire, Dr. Patrick Sasson, has spent 22 years in the field. He has an extensive background in supervising, guiding, and leading student services, working with counselors, he was a dean at one point, but he supervises deans. He is one of the co-founders of an organization that specifically addresses substance abuse. He has done extensive work around SB 100, finding alternatives to suspensions and really looking at how students are disciplined and more of a restorative approach. He's done extensive work around well-being and wellness, making sure that the entire school environment is supportive of all students' needs. He has a background in working around 504, Section 504 services, which is a growing need of ours. So he has a level of expertise, I know that will greatly benefit the district. And he has both a wonderful character and competence. Our whole committee has been very impressed through the entire hiring process with him. It's something that we have not been doing, and we're required to follow school code. And so we have some work to do to get there. No, but that's a huge undertaking by the district. That's something that has to happen regardless of who's in this position. There's going to take the entire school community to work towards shifting some of our attendance needs. No, I definitely came in and knew that it was a problem. We're currently not following school code. We have to take daily attendance as well as period attendance. Kids are required to be in classes for a certain amount of minutes a day. And the Board of Ed in every district creates policies, but schools are required and should have procedures that are aligned with policies. We don't have appropriate procedures. I'm trying to be respectful in my, we have people who are leaders in student services. I think the extent of the expertise and the knowledge around the area and the experience moving and leading in this area, we currently, we don't have the level of experience.
Shayla, will there be a chance for us as a board to get to know Dr. Sasson and to congratulate John and to maybe meet some of the other people that have been recent hires?
Absolutely. And Dr. Sasson lives in Lake Bluff.
The board was a bit blindsided by that. I've had a lot of conversations with Mike in the last couple of years about figuring out a way to get the board more involved, informed, communicated to on key hires. It's nothing against Dr. Sasson, nothing against the need, nothing against his skills and experience, but I didn't learn about this hire until last week. It's unfortunate. It's just not the way we were supposed to do business. We get regular updates, weekly updates with what we're going to talk about at the next meeting. On May 26th, we got a draft agenda. This item was not on the agenda. I'm struggling with where to go. I'm being open and honest with the rest of my board members. I see this as a key need, but we've talked over and over again about figuring out a way to get the board involved so we're not blindsided again in key hires, and I see this as a key hire. So that's where I am. Nothing against you, Shayla, nothing against Allison. This is really just a board superintendent issue that I think we have in terms of communicating key hires like this. So.
Along the same lines, I agree totally, and when, I think, Sheila, it was you that put out the memo about half-day, 300 minutes, or 5 classes, or full day, and how we have to keep track of that. If that's a state requirement, and I assume there's some funding that's involved there, so I'm just wondering if the predecessor, who he's kind of taking over the position for, whether that's something we should have been doing and just fell through the cracks, or?
That, our attendance does not rest on one person, and although it's written in Dr. Sassen's, he's worked to address that in his previous district. So he's bringing in some support, because right now, working through that and counting minutes and developing procedures for a district is something that's typically done when a district is, when a building is first created and runs. I mean, and you update your procedures and all those things. There are just some things that just have not been done. And so it was not a part of one person's responsibility. There's been decisions not to address some of these things, apparently. So, but it's important. I think it's a safety issue. It's accountability. It's responsibility to know where all of our kids are when their parents send them off to the school, to know that they're in the building or out of the building in the case of an emergency. So it really just boils down to being responsible and accountable for our kids and their well-being during the day. And procedures, our goal is not to take away privileges and all of those things. It's to be accountable, knowing that there will have to be some shifts, but of course, we want to make sure that school is welcoming, inviting, and a place that kids want to be, but it is our responsibility to know who's in the building and who's not, even if it boils down to that. And so I'm not placing the blame on anyone or saying it's one person's responsibility, because I know attendance has not been a popular conversation here, and I think it's easy to keep thinking that things are going well, but it's morally, it has to be addressed. Additionally, I just want to mention that when we've talked about our grand plan, I'm surprised to hear that this is new, because we've talked about it within our organizational structure extensively. So I know that there's updates, and I know Mike communicates with all of you, but I'm really shocked to hear that this is new and it was not known, because I know we've talked about it for a while now.
I sort of had the same reaction as Reese, and so then I asked for the org chart. And we did see this org chart 3 months ago or so, and so I think at the time we were thinking you were going to be hiring, or no, we had an assistant principal of student services, and this was to replace that position, right? I mean, maybe you could clarify for those outside the board the net change in FTEs among the administrative staff, given that we're hiring new people today.
So I do want to be respectful of some of our current staff at the high school, so I just want to name that. But this is not adding additional FTE.
We've talked about the grand plan. We've just never gotten a full enough picture of everything that's included, when, and how we're going to pay for it. So the other thing, I don't know if this is school board law or where this falls, but the board approves the contract. Ted and I sign a 3-year performance-based contract with performance goals to come. It's not signed by Mike, it's not signed by Shayla, it's signed by us. And again, we've talked about this many times over the last 2 years about getting better at communicating things like this. And so I'm hung up on process, I know. I'm not a process and procedures guy, but I don't know any other way to fix it. then with our vote. That's the way it's always presented to us. You vote up or down. And I always try and think of what's best, not for these kids, and Bailey left, but these kids are gone, but for the kids. So I'm struggling with this, and I'd like to hear
Reese,
more
I believe
input.
The performance goals are one of the exhibits for 17-18.
Yeah, they are, but they're not specific enough. I mean, they're not. I was told that the more specific performance goals would come later, which I get. I totally understand. It's just that's not what we're approving today.
It might help to walk through. The performance goals are one of the requirements of a contract, but these are not the goals against which an employee is evaluated annually. So it may help Dr. Holland. So after an employee comes on, so assuming this is approved, walk through what happens, how are the goals developed, and then how is the evaluation conducted, because what we see here is different than what we wind up working with after people start.
Every administrator, similar to teachers, have an evaluation model that you follow through a district. That's where every year all administrators meet with their supervisor. They talk through the focus of the district, our initiatives, our goals, how they relate to their specific positions. And so what you see in the exhibit, although they're not as specific, those will start off the conversation for the year and be narrowed down into specific annual goals that are related. But I don't know of a district who like publicly shares those, like everyone's personal evaluation documents through that, through this process. That is a collaborative, everyone's evaluation is collaborative. It requires a lot of communication, ongoing assessments, mid-year meetings. I have weekly meetings with all administrators, and so they're very detailed and specific. And of course, through any evaluation process, it's my responsibility to support them in fulfilling their goals as well, and to talk about shifts and all of those things. And that's a very detailed and documented process, but it's not something that would show up in a contractual document.
I think the concern I had was whether this was a new position or a replacement. So if it's not a new position, it's only a change, it's an FTE because somebody else is going somewhere else within the organization.
Right, it is not a new position. It is retitled and it has a clear job description.
And I've been going back, checking a lot of my notes too. I remember and saw that we had talked about this position. You know, I think what Reese is saying, and Mike, you know, this is something that we all need to take on: communication, communication, communication. So clearly, there was a gap in where we were at in the hiring process and who it was we were looking at and exactly why. That being said, I think that we're all given a very direct, supportive but direct message that we're going to be looking for more of that. Back to the matter at hand, I don't completely understand the 1 year versus the 3 year. I do appreciate everybody's taken time to help me understand some of that, so I am going to, me personally, I'm going to acquiesce and support whatever the administrators that are tasked with bringing this out support, which is the 3 year contract that's here now. So, and then as I would have liked to have had more time to understand the candidates and how we selected them, but you know, we talked about what the core deliverables are and what our #1 goal is as a board, and student services is at the peak of it, and I want to get a jump start on that as soon as possible. So everybody here is going to have to vote their own conscience and have to vote on what they think is right. But I'm going to be supporting it because I think this is right at the peak of what we need to do to keep making Lake Forest continue to be an awesome, great school.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Kreiling?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Markison? Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next up is approval of the Ann Whipple consulting contract. So 1 year, correct? 1 year. Contract was in your packet, and we've discussed it in workshop. So may I have a motion to approve the Whipple consulting contract?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the Whipple consulting contract.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, comments, thoughts? You don't want to?
I think Ann is a very, very valued contributor to everything we do. I think it would be hard for anybody to singularly grasp how much good work she does to make everything here more fluid. And so I definitely support her staying with us and working to her satisfaction and all of our satisfaction. However, the terms of this agreement, I cannot vote in favor of because of the increase. Yeah.
Yes.
And I just wanted to second what Dave was saying. I think Ann's incredibly valuable to our district singularly, but as a consultant, and we're not the sole client, I feel that she's very well compensated, and so even though I'll be voting against the contract, I would have approved it if we had different terms, as Dave was saying.
I support Ann Whipple and her contract, and I will be approving it because I feel like she's an invaluable part of our community and all the things that she does that are intangible and aren't even known to all of us. So I think she would be a huge, huge loss, and I support what she does, and she has not been given a raise in 5 years, and so I support her.
I would second what Diana says, and again, I think we are all saying that we know how valuable Ann is to us, and this is a discussion about money. This is not a discussion about the value of your services and how important you are. One of the things I had said is when I know maybe the tip of the iceberg of what you do for us, and then to look at the contract, we don't really even get to see the depth of the hours and the time and the overtime that you put in. I think particularly the example of the massive switchover of the website, which was essentially transparent to the community, but took enormous amounts of time, both to set up and then to bug fix, as any kind of transition of that nature would be. And we really, it was seamless, and that was so much a part of what you brought to us. It's not reflected even in the contract itself. Like Diana, I support the contract as proposed, not only because it's been 5 years since we have had any increase, but also because we have moved you in recent years from a 10-month to a 12-month contract, so it was actually a diminution in the amount that we were paying you.
I agree. I think Ann knows. I think she's fantastic. Her community service work can never be written in a job description or in a consulting agreement. She's incredibly connected, knows how things work in this community, and I think she's worth it. And again, I hope you understand, Ann, what we're talking about is money. It's not your value to the community and to the districts. So we already had a motion and a second, right? Any other comments, thoughts? Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lane?
No.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
I'm sorry? Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Mrs. Kreiling?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
No.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is approval of the amended 2018-2019 school calendar. Can somebody talk about why it's amended? What's changed?
So we engaged the entire school community in having a discussion regarding our calendar and the placement of exams. As we've communicated with the board, we went through an entire process with all stakeholder groups, and we've made a decision for the 2018-19 school year to have exams prior to winter break. Typically, that wouldn't require, and some can argue either way, whether this is required to come to the board with the one change. Because we're not changing the start and end date of the school year, we are literally just changing how we're coding a day off and a teacher workday, both of which are already days off for our students. We're changing the coding, and so we're bringing it back to the board. The 2 days are still off for students. We're just flip-flopping a day off and a teacher workday where only teachers are required to be here. So that's the change.
I appreciate you bringing it to the board. Thank you.
That's consistent with the board's desire and hope for increased communication, so thank you. This is great. And by the way, as a parent, I am so excited about this new semester. I was shocked at freshmen. It was tormenting to them over Christmas break. They wouldn't go have fun because they wanted to study. So I really am excited about this. Yeah, they're not like me. They're not like me. But I really appreciate this. I know it's not easy to get this kind of change done.
I'm all for the change also. My one concern, though, are we going to have same number of teaching days the first semester as opposed to the second semester? Or I think, do we go 2 weeks into the after Christmas on the first semester?
The days are balanced. I think it was a difference of 2 days, which is normally probably more than that in a regular calendar. The 2 weeks after winter break are still instructional days. As we've explained through all of our feedback meetings, it's not a free-for-all, it's not free time. Through our work to map out the curriculum and define the learning expectations in the semester, students will continue to learn following winter break, or following winter break.
Okay, so it's not going to be like blow-off week or?
Absolutely not.
Like there's
And
substitute teachers.
what's taught and assessed during that time still shows up on the semester grades.
I'm sure you've considered this, but I know I'm going to get this question at Sunset or Starbucks, but if you're not changing the start and the end date, why can't we do it this coming year?
Good question. Change takes time sometimes. But we wanted to honor our music department as well as athletics. A lot of performances and events are scheduled a year or two out, and although districts do make a quick change, it has a fallout impact or effect, and we wanted to give everyone time to prepare appropriately.
Thank you. Another question, but because I'm on the board, I could ask this, and I know this has been considered, and I just want to get it out on the open. I know it was brought up during contract negotiations with the teachers, but why don't we give the Jewish holidays off as days off?
You have to answer that.
We set the schedule. Speaking of
Set
that,
the
there was-
schedule, but it's proposed to us and we approve it. I don't ever remember having a discussion. I mean, starting a little earlier or ending a little earlier, but the way I understood it, it was a point of negotiation 2 contracts ago. Jen, you were there. You were the one that explained this to the teachers, and they agreed. This was agreed that they got more personal days. Predates you, so it was probably 2 or 3 or 4 contracts ago. But it still seems to come up that most of the surrounding districts do give those days off, or at least a couple of them, maybe not all of them. It's never been brought, I mean, we vote on the calendar, but I don't ever remember having a discussion about what days off.
I think we
Ted?
did say that, they could take personal days. So.
I mean, it's
Right.
kids, administrators,
Well,
everybody.
I don't know if you just make it an accepted as excusable day, or, if people do want to take off for personal reasons. Just like I was just reading, I got something from Freedom from.
This is going the other way. This is,
Yeah.
don't giving any days off.
It's the Good Friday, we give it off, but we don't call it Good Friday. It's just a non-attendance day or.
So no one else wants to say anything about that, just me?
Well, there are a lot of different perspectives right now regarding that, and we have been asked to have more conversations about it, just because some people feel like it's not fair that depending on your faith, you have to determine whether you're going to use a personal day or not. And even though we retitle or we've renamed Good Friday, our calendar still does privilege having that day off. And so it is something that continues to come up, but it's something that I think precedes a lot of us, but something that I guess we'll have to have additional conversations about.
Called a motion, right? A motion to approve the amended 2018-2019 school calendar. May I have a motion?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the amended 2018-2019 school calendar.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mrs. Kryling?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So next, we're approving the 2016-2017 school calendar that just ended. This is a formality. This is a law. We have to approve it. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the 2016-2017 final school calendar?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the 2016-2017 final school calendar.
Second?
Second.
Anybody want to make these guys go back to school? Lauren and Andrew, Bailey? No? I did. Okay. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mrs. Kryling?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is approval of the 2017-2018 staff compensation as amended in executive session. Is that correct, Jen? Did I say it the right way? Yes, okay. So may I have a motion to approve the 2017-2018 staff compensation as amended?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the 2017-2018 staff compensation as amended.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Kryling?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Motion carries.
This one always makes me think of John Powers. Approval of the copier recommendation, because we always would make fun of our responsibility. We do more than approve the copiers, the copier lease, which is what we're doing here. But it has to be done because it's contract over $25,000. So may I have a motion to approve the copier recommendation as presented?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the copier recommendation.
Second?
Second.
It should be noted that there's a decrease in costs. We don't take credit for those decreases in costs as often as we should. Any other comments or thoughts? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mrs. Kryling?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is approval of Press Issue 94, first reading. May I have a motion to approve the first reading of Press Issue 94?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the first reading of Press Issue 94.
Second?
Second.
Any comments or thoughts? This is a normal policy change recommended by Press. Nothing? A roll call vote, please.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mrs. Skryling?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is approval of policy 5:330 regarding sick days, vacation, holidays, and leaves. First reading. May I have a motion to approve?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the first reading of policy 5:330, sick days, vacation, holidays, and leaves.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? None? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Mrs. Skryling?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is approval of policy 2:120 regarding board development. First reading. May I have a motion to approve?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the first reading of policy 2:120, board member development.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? None? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mrs. Skryling?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is approval of our human resources report. Quite a few items on there, more than a normal month because of a lot of our summer hires. So anybody want to talk about anything on there? Allison, is it all pretty self-explanatory? I think, yeah, I got it. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the human resources report as presented?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the Human Resources Report as presented.
Second?
Second.
Any questions, comments? None?
I'll actually recuse myself as my daughter Meg is listed as doing the choreography for the JV Palms team.
Thank you, Tom. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mrs. Skryling?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. This is our consent agenda item. I'll remind anybody can remove any item from the consent agenda, and we could talk about it individually. Otherwise, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including disbursements, payrolls, and financial statements for April 2017, adoption of the prevailing wage resolution, approval of our workers' compensation contract renewal in the amount of $224,361, which is also a decrease from prior year, approval of our liability insurance contract renewal in the amount of $98,900, which I believe is also a decrease. Jen, is that true? Slight increase, teeny bit. Adoption of a resolution regarding board member and employee expenses, approval of designation of depositories, our bank accounts, approval of required budget transfers, appointment of our IMRF authorized agent, minutes of a regular meeting dated May 8th, 2017, minutes of an exec session dated May 8th, 2017, minutes of a joint board workshop dated May 9th, 2017, and disposal of audio recordings from June 22nd, 2015. So may I have a motion for all that?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second?
Second.
May I have any comments, thoughts, questions? Nothing?
Just a quick clarification, Reese. So work comp is up slightly, but liability is down.
All right, I mixed them up. That was on me. Thanks. Yeah. Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
You get to vote twice.
Oh, sorry. Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
And who did I miss? I'm sorry, ma'am. Mrs. Skryling?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So we had two FOIA requests, one from Michael Stainbrook. It's a commercial request, status complete. One's from Nancy Thorner, a resident, the status is complete. We answered these FOIA requests in accordance with the law. But one of these, I believe, had to do with whether or not we used a search firm for our chief technology officer. We did not. And I don't remember what the other question is that we answered legally. That, does anybody remember? Yeah, they both had to do with the chief. Do you remember what the, Brittany, do you remember what the second question was? That's all right. It wasn't that big a deal. Anyway.
Oh, it was a breakdown for the Pioneer Press, and you wanted a breakdown of where our students came from, Knollwood, Lake Forest, and Bluff.
That we gave them that. This was the, there were two questions about the chief technology officer hire.
The head on the fee and then concerning who, if anyone, he replaced.
Oh, he did not replace. He replaced a retired consultant, Cornelius. He did not replace a head count, an FTE. Is that the right way to say it? Did not replace an FTE. Okay, it's summer. Not many announcements. The only announcement is that we have to meet again next Monday, next month, Monday, July 10th, same time, 7 p.m. right here in the same room. So, may I have a motion to adjourn the Lake Forest Community High School Board meeting?
So moved.
Wait, we have to go into closed session, not adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. We're going to go back and do executive session. So take that back. Remove, suck back the motion.
Unmoved.
No second, so we're okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.